Today we're going to be looking at AI control for the first time. For the first AI control video, we're going to be doing fireteam control. Some of the things we're going to go over in this video are going to be unit selection, movement and stances, team assignment, watch direction, formations, mounting, dismounting vehicles, direct and indirect target assignment, and defensive and offensive placement of your team. So as you can see, the fire team we've got here is 5 guys instead of 4, which is most fire teams, and that's because whenever I play Arma, I always have a medic or corpsman. And in this case, since it's Marines, it's a corpsman. So let's get started. Controlling AI in Arma can be one of the most rewarding and at the same time one of the most frustrating things in the game. Proper utilization of your AI can make or break a mission for you. A mission that would otherwise be pretty tough if you just have your AI following you around and not really doing anything can become fairly simple if you've got your AI actually performing to the fullest extent of your abilities, not necessarily their abilities. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to move your AI around and command them, and I'm going to be doing it all through keyboard shortcuts. Just for this video. All of my future AI videos will be with voice commands. But I know most people don't have a voice command program. So just like in my first editor tutorial, I'll be doing the first tutorial for AI command the quote-unquote hard way, and for the rest of the tutorials, it'll be the easy way, at least for me. So to begin with, you need to know how to select your AI. The default button is your tilde key. Tap it, and you have all of your AI selected. And the default command, if you look on the left side of the screen, is always move. And it's actually context sensitive, but if you're looking at the ground, it's move. If you're looking at a vehicle, you can see that it changes to get in the vehicle. If you're looking at a certain spot in a building, you can see the pointer on the reticle in the middle showing the building positions. To select your units individually, simply use your F keys, assuming you haven't rebound them. So I've got units 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's F2, F3, F4, F5. Very simple. And as I said, move is the default selection. So let's say I want to select 2. He's my automatic rifleman over here. So I just hit F2. And get him to move. So let's get my whole team in better positions. So let's move 2 over to here, 3, 4, and if you'll notice, when I look at the H barrier, there's actually a waypoint on the H barrier itself that my unit can move to. And 5 is our corpsman, so we'll move him behind an H barrier over here. So now my team are in better positions than they were when they started, but they're all facing the wrong way. So there are 10 different menus that I can go through to manage my AI. In order to access these menus, you actually have to have one of your AI selected. So I'll just go ahead and select all of them, and we'll start looking through. This is actually the default menu, so I lied. There's 11 menus. The one we use the most on the default is move, and it's usually either to get your guy to move somewhere or to get into a vehicle. And it will change contextually based on what you're looking at. This is also the menu you get to have AI attack a certain target if you have your cursor over an enemy target. It'll pop up with crosshairs, and you can tell your AI to shoot that target. So the first menu, that's not the default menu, you select your guys and you press 1, and you get the move menu. Now, this has several choices that you will actually use. Return to formation or regroup is one of the ones you'll use quite a bit. Advance, stay back, flank left, flank right. Flank left and flank right is for when you're moving. Let's go ahead and demonstrate it. So I'll have everyone return to formation. And we'll start a leisurely stroll. So flank left, flank right, and advance are all three really useful commands for your AI. And I'll demonstrate why. So I'm trying to figure out who's over on my right flank and who's over on my left flank. The easiest way to do that is select all my units. And when I do that, their numbers will pop up. So now I know 4 is on my right, 5 is on my left. So I'm going to have 4 flank right and 5 flank left. So I select 4 with F4, then I hit 1 for the movement, and flank right. And you'll see him push out to the right flank. And I'll do the same thing with 5. So 5, 1, and flank left, which is 4. And now I want to scout up in front. I don't want it to be the AR. So who's this left? This is 3. So 3, 1, and advance. Now these guys are going to stay in formation on me as I move. So when I start walking, you can see, who's that over there? You can see 5 over there. And he's staying in formation. And you can see 3 up there, and he's staying in formation. You can't see him over there, but 4 is over there, flanked out to the right. So if you're searching for enemies or any other reason you can think of to have your team spread out, the flank commands are extremely useful. And what's next? Stop is very self-explanatory. It's 1 and 6, and it's for when you have your guys moving towards anywhere. Also, it'll make them stop where they are, and now that I've told them to stop, they won't follow me around anymore. You're real used to using the stop command. And here's a perfect example of how return to formation works. So I've got all these guys spread out, and I want them to fall back on me. So all I do is 1, and the first selection is return to formation, so I hit 1 again, and it'll drag them all back. So if you've got your guys spread out and you want them all to fall back on you, just have them return to formation. Find cover is another very useful command, and it can work one of 2 ways. One is if you're actually engaging enemies, or in the case of needing to find cover, if enemies are engaging your team, tell your guys to find cover, and they will find cover on their own from wherever they're being engaged from. In this instance, however, since we're not engaging anyone, let's see what happens when I tell them to find cover. And they'll find cover based on the direction that we were facing. Now we're going to take a look at the second menu. We've got a team of enemy men up on that ridgeline, and we need to take them out. But I want to assign each one to a particular teammate. As I said in the video overview, we're going to be going over direct and indirect target assignment. Direct target assignment is when I can actually see the enemy. And I can select my unit, so now I'll select Unit 2. And I can tell them to attack that rifleman. Now I have my units on hold fire now, and we'll get to how to do that in a minute. So I've got my automatic rifleman lined up on that enemy on the left. Now I want my rifleman to line up a different enemy. But I'm not going to look when I give him the target. So I'm going to select my rifleman, and I'm going to select 2. And you see it's populated a list of all of the enemies that me and my team are aware of. Or my team and I. So I want to tell my rifleman to target their automatic rifleman. So I'll tell him 2. So I said F4 to select him, 2 for the targeting menu, and then 2 to target the automatic rifleman. And I'll go ahead and give my assistant automatic rifleman a target of their team leader, and my corpsman a target of their grenadier, and I'll tell them all to open fire. You guys need some serious range time. Now, moving to the next menu, select your guys, press 3, and that brings you to the engagement menu. And this is where you tell them to do things like open fire, hold fire, fire, engage, engage at will, disengage, scan horizon, watch direction, and suppress. Now, the two that we're not going to go over on this menu are fire and suppress, because I don't know how to properly use them. Open fire and hold fire are pretty self-explanatory. Right now they're on open fire mode, so we'll tell them to hold fire, and you watch their icons on the bottom left. You see they get this square with the line through it, meaning they're holding fire. And you select them all again, and 3, 1. Now they're set to open fire. Select them all again, 3. Now, engage, engage at will, and disengage. These are engagement rules that you can set up at the beginning of your mission, and what they do is engage. Once you give one of you guys a target, you can tell him to engage, and he will break formation from your group, and he will hunt that target down. And once he's killed that target, he'll fall back. Engage at will, however, if you put any of your guys on engage at will, every time you give them a target, they will always break formation and go after that target. And I think it even works when they assign themselves a target. Disengage you use to bring them back to you and stop breaking ranks. Scan horizon. This will probably look kind of funny, but I'll tell everyone to scan the horizon. It's not quite as bad as it was in Arma 2. But you'll notice once every, 5 seconds, they'll turn and rotate around slowly. And they'll do that until you tell them to stop. Or until you give them another watch direction, which is the last thing on the menu, which is use 3, watch direction. Well, first of all, let's set these guys up in this building, and we'll show you how useful watch direction is. So we'll select them each one by one and move them into the building slots. And we'll wait as they take their sweet frickin' time. Alright, now they're all in their slots, and they're all still scanning the horizon. I don't want them to scan the horizon anymore. I want them all to watch their sectors. So I'll select them one at a time, and then use 3, and then watch direction, which is 8. And I want him to watch southeast, so that's 4. And you'll see he rotated to the direction I wanted him to watch. Let's have him watch a little bit more east, so tell him east. So I'll select him again. 2, 3, or F2, then 3, then 8. Now east is 3. There we go. That's the direction I want him to watch. And who is this? It's 3, so we'll do F3, 3, 8. And what direction is that? Tell him to watch north, which is 1. We'll have him watch northeast instead. So F3, 3, 8, and northeast is 2. There we go, much better. And now we've got 360 on this roof. We've got someone watching every direction. Alright, now let's move on to the next menu, which is menu number 4. You select your guys, and then you hit 4. And this is the mount menu. This is where you can tell your guys to get in and out of vehicles, whether you can see the vehicle or not. So I'm going to tell my guys to get into the vehicle with the machine gun over there. And I can do that by either selecting all of them and simply, as I said earlier, the default command goes to get in when you're looking at a vehicle and you have a unit selected. But instead, I'm going to not look at it. I'm going to select all my guys, go to the Mount menu, and number 2 is the Hunter HMG. And we'll tell them all to get in anywhere. Alright, now they're all mounted up. And you can actually see their icons on the bottom show the vehicle type they're in. And it's hard to see, but you can see which seat most of them are in as well. You can see number 3 has little crosshairs on his icon, which means he's in the gunner seat. And someone should have a steering wheel on their icon, which means they're in the driver's seat, but I can't tell which one it is. So, all you have to do in order to get your AI to move the vehicle is select the driver. So let's take a guess and say it's 2, and give him a move order. There's not 2. Let's try 4.
2.
Let's try our medic. There we go. The medic is driving.
2.
And the AI can sometimes be very precise with the driving, and they can sometimes be utterly retarded. Some nice suspension. So there you go. Now we're going to tell everyone to get out. And when you select a unit that's in a vehicle, whether you're looking at them or not, the default command is to disembark. So I'm going to go ahead and tell them all to disembark. And move back into the compound. But actually, we want someone to stay up on that gun. So we're going to put our assistant automatic rifleman up on the gun on that vehicle. So how are we going to do that? We're going to select him. He's unit number 3. And we're going to select mount mode, which is 4. And we're going to tell him the Hunter HMG, which is heavy machine gun, at 12 o'clock, which is 12 o'clock from my position because I'm facing directly towards it. So we'll select that vehicle, which is 3. And I can tell him which seat to get in. And as I said, I want him to get in the gunner seat. So that's 4 again. And there he goes. And he'll grab the gunner seat, so we'll have someone protecting us with that turret. And a lot of these menus you're going to be able to play around with, go through yourself, and figure out what everything does. But it is pretty intimidating when you first get into the game because there are so many options. Commanding AI is really one of the places that Arma shines. Next one is easy. Next one is the status menu. It's 5, so select your guys, hit 5, and you pretty much don't ever use any of this. You will use report status every once in a while if you think one of your AI has gone down. And you'll see at the bottom left that they'll report in and tell you where they are. And if they're dead, they won't report in, and you'll eventually get an update saying, 3 is dead. And that's pretty much all you're going to use the status menu for. Alright, next is the action menu. The action menu is used for doing things like telling your AI to access equipment and loot ammo from dead bodies, and directing your medic or corpsman to heal the nearest target. You can also make AI open doors, but the problem with that is, well, I'll demonstrate. Let's select one of them and hit the 6, which is action menu. And you see how it says open door? I have no idea. Open door, close hatch, open door. What door? I don't know. So that's kind of useless. You're not going to ever do that. But as I said, you can command your corpsman or medic to heal from here. So let's select my medic, or corpsman. He's actually a corpsman, because we are Marines. I think I have a guy that's injured. because someone decided to throw themselves off the roof of this building a few minutes ago. So with the corpsman, there's two ways I can heal. I can either mouse over someone, and you see I can scroll up and it says treat that guy. And it also says treat that guy. I don't know how they both got injured, but they are. But the other way I can do it is through the action menu. So I've got my corpsman selected. I hit 6 for the action menu. And you see the number 2 option is to treat rifleman. So we'll tell him to do that. And we won't talk about how creepy that looked. And now we'll go back to the action menu for him. And there's no more treatment options, which means no one else is injured. And additionally from here, you can have your AI access inventories to get gear. So let's say our automatic rifleman is out of ammo, and I know that there's some ammo in the back of that truck. Send my automatic rifleman over there. And I'll select him, hit 6, and I will go through the menus until I find that vehicle, which this isn't actually showing me the vehicle, it's just saying gear. That means there's something near him that he can get gear from. So I'll select that. Where the hell are you going? And when he accesses the vehicle's gear magically through the back of the H barrier, you have access to micromanage it. It shows you this is his gear, but I can, let's say, I want to drop a couple of grenades and get a couple of smokes. So I'll grab an orange smoke and a blue smoke on him. And I want him to have an extra first aid kit, so I'll grab that for him too. And now I'll check the trunk of that vehicle, and the 2 spare grenades he dropped in there are going to be in there now. You see it had 4, now it has 6. And I'll check his backpack also. He started with 1 med kit, and he should have 2 now. And there you go, 2 first aid kits. Sorry, med kits are a different thing. And that's how you resupply your guys on the battlefield. What you do is you tell them to run up to a dead enemy. In fact, let's go over here and do that with someone. Now these poor dead bastards are up here, and this is the one I want. I want that automatic rifle for my automatic rifleman, so I'm going to send my automatic rifleman as close to him as I can, and then tell him to get gear. So that's 6, and then you might have to go down to more, and gear will always be an option. So let's see if he runs to the right one. Looks like he did. So now I can replace my automatic rifleman's automatic rifle with this guy's. And now my AR has their weapon. That's how you resupply your guys on the battlefield. And that's also how you can get them all loaded out from gearboxes at the beginning of a mission that has gearboxes. Alright, now we're going to look at one of the really useful menus, which is 7. And you have your combat mode. You have stealth, danger, aware, and safe. And then you have your stances: stand up, crouch, prone, and copy my stance. Copy my stance isn't really copy my stance, it's use whatever stance you want. So I've got all my guys selected, and I hit 7, and I'm going to have them do a little bit of exercise. So we'll have them go prone, stand up, kneel down. And lastly, use whatever stance you want. Just copy my stance. And we'll show you how this gets a little bit more useful back up on this rooftop. Alright, we've got everyone back up on the rooftop. But, they're all standing up, exposing themselves. So let's have them all kneel down first. So select them, 7. 7, which is kneel down. There we go. Now they're not nearly as exposed. And then, of course, you can tell them to get down all the way. And that's where changing your unit's stances comes in extremely useful. So we'll have them all go ahead and stand back up. And we'll move from stances to the different combat modes. Alright, understanding your combat modes is pretty essential for moving around on the battlefield. So to explain a little bit about the combat modes, stealth you want to use in conjunction with hold fire, which you learned earlier, and stealth should make everyone get down, and you can see how their icon status changed on the bottom left. And they pretty much will try to stay sneaky and try to hold fire. Doesn't always work. A lot of times the AI will open fire, even if you have them on stealth and hold fire. It can get kind of frustrating. I hate stealth though, so I never use it. The next is danger. This is combat mode, and of course they won't get up from that. We'll make them stand up. Now with danger, they'll go weapons up, and they'll keep their weapons up. And you'll be able to see in a second, when I put them in aware mode, that they should put their weapons down. And they'll stay aware. This is the default mode that you pretty much always want your AI to be in, is aware mode. They'll actually go into danger mode themselves once you get into combat, and it can be really hard to get them out of danger mode. Now, I'll show you the annoying thing about danger mode. Let's put them back into danger mode and let them use their own stances. And we'll tell them to move out. So we'll have them move to that set of rocks up there. Now what they'll do is they'll move safely. They'll bound and they'll overwatch each other, and they'll move pretty slowly, which is nice for combat. Not so nice when you're trying to move quickly. A lot of times they'll be stuck in danger mode and you can't get them out, and they'll move extremely slowly when you're trying to move from one area to another. What you can try to do about that is put them on safe mode, which is the last mode, which makes them almost completely ignore everything, and then tell them to hold fire. In fact, safe mode apparently makes them walk now. So we'll put them on aware instead, but also hold fire. And a lot of times when they're moving slow across the battlefield, there are 2 tricks to get them to speed up. 1 is to tell them to hold fire. 2 is to select each guy and tell them to move independently of the rest of the guys, because when you select all 4 guys at the same time and tell them to move, they'll move in conjunction with each other. But when you select them each one at a time and give them a different waypoint, then they'll each move on their own and they won't cover each other, and they'll move more quickly. Alright, next menu is formations. So we'll select everyone, hit 8, and it'll bring up a list of the formations we can use. Now the default formation is always a wedge. Wedge is nice, but I usually either use either a staggered column or a line. So we'll put them in wedge, and I'll tell them to all regroup, and we'll start moving out. And here you can see the wedge. Got 2 behind me to the right, and 2 behind me to the left. And for now, they're moving with weapons up. They shouldn't be doing that in aware mode. They should only really do that in danger mode but hopefully that'll get fixed. So let's move them out of the wedge and into a line while we're moving. So select them all, hit 8, and line. And they'll automatically catch up and start moving in a line from the wedge. So now instead of being behind me to my right and left, they're beside me to my right and left. And this is good for pushing up on a ridge line. If you're trying to sneak up and start a firefight, that's what I usually use the line for. And let's move straight into a staggered column. Sometimes you need to stop for the AI to get into the formations you just told them to get into. And there you go, staggered column. And we'll start moving out again. And there are other formations. You'll figure out which ones you like, which ones you don't like, and when to use them. And the last practical menu that we're going to be taking a look at is the team menu. This is where you assign your teams. Tell my guys to halt. And what I want my teams to be is I want my rifleman and my medic together, and they're going to be with me most of the time. And then I want my automatic rifleman and my assistant automatic rifleman together. So my AR and my AAR are 2 and 3. I've got both of them selected. Now I want them in a team together. So I hit 9 and I assign them to Team Red, which is number 1. And you see on the bottom left their colors changed from white to red. I'm going to do the same thing with 4 and 5. Hit 9 and then assign them to Team Blue, which is 3. You can quick select the teams. If you remember, when I assigned Team Red, it was 1. If I hold Shift and press F1, it selects Team Red. And if I do it again, it deselects them. And if I hold Shift and press F3, it selects Team Blue. Because Team Blue, if you look at the team menu, Team Blue, if you look at the team menu, is 3. Team Red is 1. If I had a Team Green, they would be Shift F2, Shift F4, Shift F5. So I want Team Red, who's the automatic rifleman team, to move back into that compound. So I hold Shift F1, and they move out. And I want Team Blue, like I said, I want them to stick with me, so it's Shift F3, and then I'll hit 1 and 1 to have them return to formation. And this is a way to quickly select teams worth of guys to get them to move around and do whatever you want them to do. And the last menu we're going to take a look at is the comms menu. The comms menu is 0, but it doesn't have any effect on controlling AI. This is where you're going to access your support calls from, and that's pretty much it. And all the custom radio commands are going to be done through 0 on this menu. So in order to get to that menu, it's 0, 0, and then you have your radio commands, which right now I have 1 and it's alpha, and that'll activate my camera. I'll just go ahead and demonstrate that. Now you can see my detached camera. So menu 0 doesn't really have any bearing on controlling AI unless you're calling for AI support. So this concludes my AI control introduction. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually make a mission for this particular fire team, and I'm going to run through it with voice commands. I'm not going to do the keyboard shortcuts, and I'm going to show you how to use the AI a little bit more tactically. Things such as using your AR to cover danger zones and try to incorporate a little bit of everything we learned in here today in the mission. You know, using formations, stances, target assignment, movement, all the good stuff. And it'll actually be a full mission video for me. So stay tuned for that. I hope you learned something. And as always, thanks for watching. As an afterthought, I decided to give a brief demonstration of actually using voice commands. I think once you've seen me controlling my AI this way, you'll have a little bit better of an understanding of why this tutorial may have seemed a little choppy and awkward for me. Squad. Regroup. Team Red. Team Blue. 2. 2. 3. 'Team Blue. Regroup. 3.
2.
2. Disregard. 2. Disembark. 2. Regroup. Squad. Formation line. 2. Flank left. 4. Flank right. 5. Advance. 3. Disembark. 3. Regroup. Squad. Regroup. Squad. Hold fire. Danger. Squad. Get cover. Squad. Stay frosty. Squad. Open fire. Squad. Regroup. Squad. Formation staggered column. And that, my friends, is why I use the voice commands instead of the keyboard commands. I highly recommend, if you get into playing single-player games, or you can even incorporate controlling AI into your multiplayer games, I highly recommend getting voice-activated commands. The website is dwvac.com, and I'll put that in the video description. I cannot play without it. And once again, thanks for watching. Oh shit!
We're taking fire. Alright, I got him out of there.
Yeah,
Moving in. Stand by, I'm reloading. I'm gonna go in and go right.
Roger.
Actually, you go in first and just spray that whole fucking room down as you're going in.
All contacts down.